Yeah, I'd just like to introduce myself real quick for those of you who don't know me yet. I'm Christoph Sohn. I'm part of Hype's Enterprise Innovation Consulting team, and I'm working in innovation management for nearly 5 years now. My focus is on supporting companies on the people and process side of collaborative innovation program, and as such I'm giving, for example, workshops and trainings for sharing best practices, planning campaigns, and giving advice on how to effectively roll out an innovation program in an organization. So let's have a quick look at our agenda for today. After giving you a very brief overview of who Hype is and what we do, for those of us for those of you that don't know us yet, then I'll have a very short introduction to the topic of collaborative innovation before we move on to our main topic of today. We'll first focus on what are the common issues we have with middle management, and then come to how we actually get middle management on board, and finish with a summary of all of this, and of course section for Q&A if time permits. Okay, so for those of you who don't know us yet, a very brief intro to our company and offerings. Hype is fully dedicated to idea and innovation management, and as such we are one of the largest vendors in this market with around 90 employees. Our company is in business for about 14 years now, and originally we actually spun off from Daimler Chrysler back in 2001. Today Hype is headquartered in Bonn, Germany, with additional offices across the US, Europe, and the Middle East, as well as a large global network of partners, including resellers, service and technology partners with which Hype integrates, such as Trend One or IBM, for example. Our customers are large and medium multinational corporations of all industries, including, for example, DHL, Nokia, Airbus, Liberty Global, PricewaterhouseCoopers, and around 190 more. So although Hype's core offering is our software, we understand ourselves as a solution provider. Our software comes out of the box as a turnkey solution with a ready-to-use full lifecycle innovation process. However, our products are also highly customizable. That means we also offer to adapt our solution to meet your specific requirements. And last but not least, Hype offers consulting support to help you integrate a new collaborative innovation platform in your organization structure, and especially culture, as well as we also support clients with established innovation programs to expand these or make them more efficient. All right, so much for the introduction of me and Hype. So let me lose a few words on what we mean when we talk about collaborative innovation, just so that everybody is on the same page here. The core of a collaborative innovation program is a software platform that allows to include different stakeholders from all across the company into the innovation process. This may include internal audiences from different functional areas, business units, or regions, but of course also external stakeholders such as your customers, suppliers, alumni, or partners, or maybe even competitors. Whereas such platforms are mainly used to collect and develop ideas to certain business needs or find solutions to specific challenges, they may as well be used to share and find other information that may be of value to others. For example, to collect and share customer insights, experiences which were made, or best practices. Okay, so much for the topic of collaborative innovation. For establishing a sustainable innovation program within an organization, you actually have to put quite a lot of effort in. This is not trivial, and it's much more than just installing a software platform, as you can imagine or experience yourself already. So the main reason for that is that participation is normally voluntary, and people's time is limited, and you're competing with everybody's day job. So I guess you would agree that involving a motivated, well-engaged crowd of employees is fundamental to a successful online innovation program. Same goes for the support of top management, which is often the initiator of such programs. Having the top leaders demonstrating their support and commitment adds credibility and trust to the program, because employees see the innovation has a high priority and that there seems to be budget for actually really implementing ideas. However, in hierarchical organizations, there are other management layers between the top management and the employee base, which also play a significant role in innovation. That is, of course, the middle management. A couple of months ago, Hype hosted their annual Innovation Managers Forum, where over 100 people that are responsible for innovation in their organization came together to share experiences and best practices. One of the key messages that came across in almost every presentation there was that one of the largest challenges, as well as one of the keys to successful collaborative innovation programs, is getting their middle managers on board. By coincidence, middle management was actually also my topic for one of the mini seminars that were held during the forum. And very many forum participants actually chose to attend my seminar on this topic, which just confirmed the large interest in this. So that was one of the reasons why I wanted to pick this topic on middle management today, to share some insights with you and good practices about the impact of middle management that it has on collaborative innovation programs, about characteristics of middle managers and motivations. And finally, of course, what we can do to get them engaged and believe in our innovation program. So what are common issues we have with middle managers? Let me tell you 3 little stories of innovation programs that faced some middle management related issue to make that a bit clearer. So the first story is about a business unit of a large chemical company. The business unit has about 12,000 users, and about 1.5 years ago they initiated an innovation program which was fully supported by the CEO and corporate communications. They rolled out the whole program with a large campaign with the key message that everybody's invited to take part in cross-departmental collaboration. They ran a campaign-based program, starting with several smaller focused campaigns and also some with broader topics that actually spoke to the majority of the audience. So in general, there was something for everybody where everybody could participate in one way or another. The overall results were actually really good. So everybody was quite happy about participation, numbers of participation, about the quality of ideas, and also about the implementation ratio. And yeah, so what was the problem actually? Sounds pretty good, doesn't it? So the problem actually was when, or was discovered when Hype conducted a health check of their innovation program, which includes an analysis of participation patterns. There we discovered that some departments and regions were actually barely participating in any of the campaigns. That was quite interesting, and due to the fact that this was a large program with many participants, that was not really discovered before by the innovation manager. So what happened here? What was the reason for that? When analyzing this in more depth, innovation manager, and we found that these were mainly departments with managers that were not in support of the program. Basically, they gave the message that their employees should focus on their regions or departments' own internal challenges and day jobs instead of spending time on the collaboration platform and helping other departments solving their challenges, solving their needs. Okay, so story number 2. This is about an IT service provider which has about 3,000 employees. Everybody was actually involved to the innovation program. The average age was around 30, and there was an IT-savvy community which was quite used to social tools, and so therefore was actually a very good precondition basically for such a collaborative innovation program. So the program was initiated about 6 months ago by the top management, and they also ran some campaigns. The first campaigns also went well. The first one was with around 100 people, so a smaller one, which was sponsored by the head of R&D, and it got some good engagement. And the second campaign actually was a broader campaign sponsored by the CEO about making services more attractive. It also had good engagement, and the feedback from the employees was just satisfying. So what was the issue here? Actually, the innovation manager was struggling to find potential sponsors for their campaigns that wanted to utilize the community and platform and run campaigns on their own challenges and needs. That is, of course, an important prerequisite for a campaign-based innovation program. So the innovation manager was speaking to potential candidates, which says, yes, we can run a campaign, but it's usually only turns out to be nothing but cheap talk and lip services with no real intentions. Also, reminders of the manager at meetings did not really result in much interest. What was the reason for this? Well, the reason was that this was mainly a C-level project. It was initiated by the top management, and due to the fact that it was supposed to be rolled out to everyone and everybody should participate, they didn't coordinate much with middle management and didn't include them in the decision that there should be this innovation program. And also, there wasn't a communication campaign, a large communication campaign to inform all the employees about this program and that asked people to participate. However, there was not much communication done on a middle management level. So basically, middle managers just did not understand the concept and benefits of sponsored idea campaigns. And therefore, there was just a low interest because they just thought, well, it's a waste of time, or just creates extra time, and why should I do this? Okay, so story number 3. This is about a car parts manufacturer which has about 6,500 employees, and which also invited all their employees to their innovation program. So a couple years ago, actually, the innovation was named as one of the top strategic pillars of the company. Until then, the product development was mainly driven by their customers that actually demanded certain developments, certain innovations, and so they did not really the company here did not really come up with much ideas themselves for new products or product improvements even. So one action following to this new strategy was to hire an innovation manager and establish this innovation program, including a high-based platform actually. So this was rolled out and announced by the CEO about 1 year ago. And the innovation manager was pretty happy with the results, actually, of the first campaigns that were run, and had pretty good good levels of engagement and also good quality of ideas in terms of innovativeness and elaboration. So again, sounds not too bad. However, the issue actually was that only very few ideas actually got picked up for implementation. They had very good ideas, pretty radical ideas, but the middle managers mostly killed all radical ideas throughout the stage gate process that followed the ideation phase. The reason for that are probably not much of a surprise for you, and I guess many companies have this kind of problem. The middle manager that were to decide on whether to invest in an idea killed all the big radical ideas early on because mainly they were not fitting present business focus, or there was no direct customer demand behind, so that it would not support their short and midterm targets. And finally, because it was too much effort and too risky to develop these radical ideas further. There was just no budget foreseen much for experimenting. So from these three stories, we can derive different characteristics for middle managers. But before I move on, please be aware that I'm stereotyping here in the following. So of course, there are very many different characters among middle managers, and the picture I draw here is of course not true for every single one of them, but I assume the one or the other aspect will sound familiar to you. But please don't take it personally if you're a middle manager yourself. So some characteristics that one may relate with middle management are being target-driven. As often middle management is measured by the fulfillment of their quarterly or annual targets, it is quite obvious that they try to focus their teams or departments' resources on meeting these, which often results in decisions and actions that are that ensure only short or maybe midterm success. Being risk-averse, as resources are most often scarce, decisions on how to use the existing ones are often felt in favor of less risky opportunities where the outcome is clear and in sight. These are typically smaller incremental improvements to existing offerings. Or, in other words, they rather keep squeezing out the last drops of the lemons that they already have instead of planting a new lemon tree. Egoism or selfishness. So egoism is a factor that plays a certain role. Typically, middle managers strive to move up the ladder within their organization. They try to take more responsibility and be involved in bigger decisions. Due to the nature of a hierarchy and due to to today's trends of making companies leaner and reducing hierarchy levels, the competition among middle managers is of course becoming stronger. And finally, being uncooperative sounds pretty bad, but although nowadays different business entities are more and more asked to collaborate with others and share their expertise and experience, in reality this is often not given high priority while being too caught up in one's own business. Okay, so let's move on. How do we actually get middle management on board then? So the first thing is early involvement. Employees are the resources that help a middle manager to execute on an operational level. Some managers, especially if under much pressure for meeting targets and when in busy times, may not be amused if someone else decides on how their people may spend part of their work time. So one may of course say, okay, but it's a top management decision to introduce such a collaborative innovation program across the company, so no need to specially involve and inform middle managers. However, there's one important aspect that is often forgotten or not taken seriously enough. It may be expected that innovation initiatives that are officially supported and sponsored by the CEO make employees feel they are allowed to participate. However, in reality, the permission to participate does not sit with the CEO, but instead with the middle managers. Just imagine if you don't have the feeling your direct line manager supports the call for everyone to participate in the innovation program that is coming from the top. Would you just ignore that and spend much time on an innovation platform to help solve problems or find ideas? Most people wouldn't. So the more direct line managers have a larger influence on what their department's employees do in their day job and whatnot. Therefore, make sure to involve and inform middle management about the innovation program early on. They should learn about a new collaborative innovation program as well as about new larger campaigns before all of their employees do. This should be done in a communication cascade from top to bottom, starting with the overall sponsor of the program. In many cases, this is a CEO or CTO. And make use of existing management communication channels for that, such as regular existing management juror fixes or management circulars in order to pass on the message and to in order to pass on the message step by step from the top to the bottom of your organization. Inform the middle managers about the purpose and goals of the program, the mission, its strategic significance, the process, their role, and finally how they can benefit. So this will actually help you to get a middle management support for the innovation program as they don't feel left out and overlooked, which is often a core problem. So having the line managers encouraging and motivating their teams to participate is, especially in large organizations, typically much more effective than the same message coming from high up in the hierarchy. If a middle manager doesn't give their employees the feeling that it's okay to participate during their work time, or even worse, discourage and forbid employees to participate, the chances drop significantly that you'll see any engagement coming from this department. So second point here is sponsored campaigns. A large difference on how you sell the innovation programs to your middle managers actually makes the general structure of an innovation program. That is how your ideation process looks like. There are two common approaches for collecting ideas within an organization. The first is what we call open idea channels. This is basically a modern form of an electronic suggestion box where in the first step all kinds of ideas are collected that spring to people's mind. The innovation manager's job is to look on a regular basis if there's actually the need for any of those ideas somewhere in an organization. And of course, if there are resources to develop and implement them. The second common way to crowdsource ideas is a need-driven approach to ideation. The innovation manager looks for where ideas, insights, or any crowd expertise is needed, who owns this need, and the budget to act if appropriate ideas are found. These budget owners are typically middle managers and would act as a sponsor for a time-limited campaign that, in a second step, ask a target audience to contribute in finding ideas to their specific needs or challenges. The latter need-driven campaign-based approach has several advantages over the open idea channel approach. The most important one when it comes to middle management is that running sponsored campaigns can be offered as an instrument for middle managers. They can use the community and platform whenever they are in need of ideas, insights, or expertise. A nice side effect is certainly also playing a role for some people is that sponsoring a campaign they can demonstrate to employees, other middle managers, or of course top management that they really care about innovation and that they value employees' expertise and creativity. Another advantage of this approach is that the resources, at least to some extent for implementation, are secured up front before the crowd is actually involved. So this leads to much higher implementation ratios. The majority of our customers are using such time-limited topic-focused campaigns for involving the crowd into an innovation process. Many started off with open idea channels, but found that campaigns work actually much better for them. And normally, after running several campaigns, the innovation manager gets approached by middle managers that also want to run campaigns for their purposes. All right, the next aspect is communications. So if you're using the campaign-based approach, we strongly recommend to have the middle manager who owns the need behind the campaign to act as a sponsor. That means that they are officially the persons asking the crowd to help them find solutions to their needs, not the innovation manager or someone who is not related to the need and has no decision-making power. So when introducing a campaign-based innovation program to an organization or expanding an existing one, most middle managers are new to the concept of sponsored idea campaigns. Very often organizations only think of communication activities that target the employees in order to engage them in contributing ideas and comments. As mentioned before, that was one of the problems with our second company in the second story with the IT provider. However, it is equally important to make middle managers aware of this new instrument that they are given, that is the possibility to crowdsource creativity and expertise and ideas, as well as to inform them about the background of the program, for example, the management support it has or its strategic alignment. It's important to inform them about the campaign process as a whole and their role and responsibilities as a sponsor. A very effective motivator and way to lower skepticism are proof of concepts and success stories. It is quite a normal human behavior that in the beginning many middle managers that are aware of this instrument will be cautious about this new thing, maybe even skeptical. They'll wait for some other first movers to try out sponsoring a campaign and ask a large audience to help them. Therefore, it is important to demonstrate to other middle managers success stories of previous campaigns. Tell them who ran campaigns previously, on what topics, and what the outcome was. Tell them to get in touch with their colleagues that sponsored campaigns before to ask how much effort it was and how the approach worked for them. So this will grow trust and belief in this process. What we typically find with clients is that after running a couple of campaigns, the interest among middle managers grows in many companies. So the innovation managers don't even have to look for sponsors and campaign topics anymore, as the interest among middle managers to sponsor campaigns is so large once they realize the benefits of using this instrument for them. So what are common channels that you should use for communicating with your middle management? Of course, common communication channels are, for example, leadership trainings, which work quite well. You may want to use presentations in meetings or hold webinars or videos. Some companies prepare some online or offline brochures for that. And yeah, just use the channels that work best for you, which are established, and get back to or ask your corporate communications department what they suggest for that. So in summary, the key message that needs to be brought across to the middle management here is that the innovation platform and the community shall not be a burden for them, but instead it's a great instrument that they can use to help them find solutions to their needs. Okay, so next one is our rewards and recognition. Recognition is not only a powerful motivator for engaging employees. Normally every person likes to be acknowledged for their actions and achievements. So we not only recommend to recognize employees for submitting ideas or being good commenters, but also to regularly name sponsoring middle managers of campaigns when sharing success stories. As well, also recognize managers that brought radical ideas forward, despite all the risks and uncertainties that they faced with that. No matter if these ideas eventually failed or not, it's actually their courage that you're acknowledging. So you might also want to consider to recognize departments or business units that are particularly active in collaborating and sharing ideas. Their success will eventually also be related to their leaders that motivated their people. One little anecdote on that, one of our most mature clients with a campaign-based innovation program running for about 7 years and having around 50,000 users and 400 active users per day, started 3 years ago a leaderboard on a country level. So once a year the most active country actually gets awarded and celebrated. Interestingly, this led to a large increase in participation in some countries where there has barely been any engagement coming from before. A large influencing factor on that played actually the regional managers in these countries that started to promote the innovation program much stronger in their local subsidiaries. Recognition should, on the one hand, be done by using your established communication channels with which you reach most of the company, for example, in articles, in town hall meetings, or announcement boards. On the other hand, however, middle manager recognition is often more effective if it happens through management internal communication channels, such as manager summits, meetings, mailing lists, or maybe closed groups and corporate social networks. Finally, recognition and rewards should also be given on a personal level. Yearly or quarterly personal talks with the line managers are often used for that. So it doesn't always have to be appraisal that is motivating. It may as well be a question like, what have you done to promote innovation and collaboration in your department, which puts some light pressure on middle managers and reminds them of the significance of this topic. Some of our clients even have innovation as a soft target in their manager's contract. As mentioned before, middle managers are often driven by their targets that the department or BU have to fulfill. So if they have an innovation-related target or maybe a bonus in their contracts, their motivation becomes much higher to promote an innovation program or sponsoring campaigns, encouraging employees to participate, and to giving more radical ideas a chance. All right. So let's summarize. Why is middle management so important? First, it helps you to drive participation. We heard middle managers are much closer to employees, therefore they have a more direct influence on what they do in their day jobs and upper levels. So they can allow actually really participation, and of course they can encourage participation because they are speaking in a more personal, more direct way to their department's people. And participation of managers itself also has a very positive effect on the overall participation, as many of our clients experience. Of course, we need middle managers to sponsor campaigns if we have a campaign-driven program. Ideally, middle managers that sponsor campaigns and are happy with it help you also to encourage other middle managers, so to use the spiral spread on that level. And finally, of course, decision makers, middle managers are decision makers that bring good ideas forward. So they actually decide which of the radical ideas really gets funded and gets resources or not. So it's quite clear that therefore they are really important, and we really need to make sure that they support our innovation program. Okay, so let's come back to our 3 stories from the beginning and see what we can learn from these. So the chemical company, what was the main issue again? Some departments, leaders took it quite personal that they were not involved early on when a program was introduced by the top that asks their employees to spend part of their work time for collaborating on other departments' campaigns instead of focusing on their department's own challenges and targets. So those middle managers' unsupportiveness led to large gaps in participation of some parts of the company. So the learning from that is actually involve and inform your middle management early on if you are planning to use their resources, that is their employees' work time. So the message should be carried out by the superiors on each level, not the innovation manager. That's also very important. So for the IT service provider, the main issue was that there was a lack of understanding among middle managers for the campaign concept. Many were not aware of how it works, what the benefits are, and how the instruments could help them. So this led to a lack of interest in becoming active and use the platform and community for their own running campaigns and their challenges. So what's the learning from that? Especially if you run a sponsored campaign approach, you depend on middle managers as sponsors. Therefore, put enough effort in explaining the benefits of a collaborative innovation program to your middle managers. Help them understand the strategic alignment, the campaign process, how it can help them with their targets by running campaigns, and finally, share success stories from other fellow middle managers. And last but not least, our car parts manufacturer, the main issue was that the decision makers from middle management killed all big ideas early on because they were not really fitting the present business focus, or they didn't support short and midterm targets, and or maybe just were too risky. So what is the learning from that? Recognize and reward middle managers and their departments which are most active in innovation by running actively, participating, and in supporting other departments' campaigns. So also recognize decision makers for giving more radical ideas a chance. Positively acknowledge the courage the managers had to invest in an idea, and even if it failed in the end, still recognize it and acknowledge that they had the courage even to give it a try. And finally, consider to make innovation either a target in managers' contracts or to give them a bonus for their achievements. All right. Okay. So we already almost spent our 45 minutes. Got a few minutes left for questions. So far, thank you very much for your attention. And yeah, just give me a few seconds to check whether we have any questions that came in here. Okay, there's one question. Okay, who should carry out this communication cascade? The head of innovation? Okay, yeah, I guess you're referring to like the one part where I mentioned about the involvement of the middle management. That is very important. So this communication cascade from top to bottom, layer by layer, actually should be carried out by the superior who is actually in charge of this layer. It should not be carried out by the innovation manager. That is actually very important. So if it's a C-level supported program or CEO supported program, the CEO should be the first one who actually spreads the message to the layer underneath them in order to promote the innovation program and explain him what this is, and that it's actually supposed to be rolled out across the company. And so this should happen layer by layer mainly driven by the manager in charge on that layer, and maybe supported by the head of innovation or innovation manager or whoever that is. Okay, one more question here. What would such a target look like? Okay, that's an interesting question. Maybe I start off with what target should not look like from our experience or some of our clients or other companies' experiences. I actually heard not too long ago from a client in the US that put the number of ideas and comments as a target to every employee. So every employee had to submit a certain number of ideas once per quarter. I guess you can imagine what happened. It actually led to a large increase in participation, but also to a very large decrease in quality of ideas. So people were just trying to meet their targets and submitted any kind of ideas. The target was not to submit any good ideas or ideas that really get selected for implementation. So when you put something like that, put innovation as a target in a contract, and if you put that in a manager's contract, for example, that his business unit has to submit so and so many ideas and he would pass that on to his employees, make sure that there's some quality factor in there. So it should be a certain number of ideas that are reviewed and which are found to be of high quality. That would be one thing. I also learned from one of our clients just recently that some of their middle managers actually have cross-departmental collaboration as a target. So that basically meant that their the middle manager was or their department, the team targets were that they had to get involved to a certain extent in other business units campaigns that they run and help them. So this actually helped to spur collaboration across different business units. And one thing maybe as a target which is also important, and especially when looking at our third story with the car manufacturer that had eventually many ideas not being selected just because they were too risky. Of course, you may as well put in as a target or maybe a bonus that certain investment, a certain amount of the budget actually should go to long-term or should go to projects which are rather supporting the long-term success of the company, and should be ensured within the targets that they are not only short-term small little improvements being funded as part of the ideas. All right, okay, so I'm sorry, we're actually running out of time here, already 3 minutes past. Sorry about that, but yeah, I hope you found the webinar interesting. There are still a few more questions here, but I will actually be happy to get back to you on these in the email that we will send in the next couple of days. Yeah, also feel free to get in touch with me. Here's my email address. Feel free to connect with me on Xing, LinkedIn, or Twitter. And yeah, I hope to get back to you soon. Thanks again, and back to Diana.